Hello, my name is Edwin Barea-Rodriguez, and I'm at the University of Texas San Antonio. I'm a professor of neuroscience, and I'm a member on the Ambassador Working Group. And I'm here to share with you the second module of the Ambassador Workshop entitled Empowering Teams to Work Together. So this figure shows the different modules, for experiencing change to empowering team, facilitating leadership, and then the top three modules that are more related to the visioning exercise that we engage with the department. So at the end of this module, you will be able to, number one, identify the 6 key elements to change, understand the value of created tension and staying engaged while experiencing discomfort, appreciate the importance of inclusive teamwork, and create opportunities for effective communication. So I want you to think about this. In terms of why teamwork is key to departmental change. So you hear this a lot in the sports and everywhere else. But in our department, why is this so important? So your facilitator may allow some time for you to basically engage in a discussion about why is teamwork key to departmental change. Now there are 6 essential elements of change. Number 1, communicate for team learning. 2, develop a shared vision. Cultivate shared leadership. Understand diversity of view. Stretch to embrace tension and experience discomfort. And endure for long-term effort. So let's start with communicate for team learning. What is team learning? Think about this. What are the skills needed for effective communication? So team learning is when we come together collectively to achieve a common goal. We're working together. We are learning into the process of working toward achieving that goal. Now, part of this team learning has to engage and involve communication. How do we do that? Well, we use the established ground rules that were discussed at the beginning of the workshop. We listen with empathy, and we're going to get more into that and show you a role play later on. We engage in inclusive dialogue, especially when there is disagreement in the group, and seek collaboration and synergy, because synergy, there is power in the number, but especially when collectively we come together. And there have to be trust into the process. So the second element is shared vision. And shared vision is important because you're going to engage. So remember, team learning, you're going to collectively come together to achieve a common goal, but you have to engage everyone into the vision exercise. For example, there may be members of this group that are not here today. So the idea is that we're going to develop a vision. We're going to help you facilitate that. But it may be sort of a draft because you want to engage other members from the department into the process. So I tend to call it a draft. So we're going to discuss the future state and how to get there. Identify the barriers, and especially who owns the barriers. And you're going to see that most of the time we are the one who owns the barriers. Work together to remove or circumvent these barriers and shape an action plan to achieve that common vision. So the third element is cultivate shared leadership. And there is a chair in the department, there is a provost, there is a dean, but there is power when there is shared leadership. Now, shared leadership is not what this cartoon is trying to show you, putting the blame of someone else. It's coming together and saying, we're going to share the responsibility of achieving this vision. And in your department, you're going to have adjunct professors. You're going to have assistant professors and through the different ranks. How are we engaging them into the process of the vision? And this leadership has to be cultivated. And how do we cultivate it? Well, we need to understand that one leader doesn't have all the answers. And you're going to see when we talk about the importance of diversity, this is going to come, and be developed further. Everyone share insights into the process. Everyone give sort of feedback and receive feedback. Emerges from shared purpose and support. So we are here to support the students, to help the students graduate, to develop faculty. Novel ideas are going to emerge into the process. And we're going to do our best to reduce that possibility of excluding others into the process, of this visioning exercise. Now, there is power in numbers, but also there is power in diversity. So, understanding diversity of view is key to developing that vision. So we develop and share a common vision. When we come together, we listen and communicate effectively, and we develop practices for inclusive dialogue. So I encourage you to read the work of Scott Page, and he wrote a couple of books, the differences and also the diversity bonus, and he talks about the power of diversity in achieving a common goal. Listening to other people's views is so important, to achieving that goal. In fact, better product is obtained when other people are involved into this exercise. Now we know, all right, I usually share, I was born at night, but not last night. We work in departments. There are going to be people, so we work with people, and there's going to be tension, into the process. When we engage into this visioning exercise, there are going to be some faculty that are going to disagree, and that's okay. We need to engage those faculty that are going to disagree, and we need to learn to listen to them. So we need to be open to new ideas, learn to live with uncertainty, because what is the future? We don't know how the provost is going to change, or the chair, or the dean. Sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable, but we need to learn to adapt, and we need to recognize the importance of synergy. And now synergy is a word that is sometimes overused, but there is power, when one, in fact, I argue this from the 7 habits, 1 plus 1 is not 2. I'm sorry, you're a mathematician, or this is a mathematics department, but 1 plus 1 is actually can achieve more than 1 to get just by themselves. So it's important that we engage, that we learn to embrace the tension. And that tension is what is called created tension. So how come tension generates new ideas and action steps? Think about this. Reflect on how challenges, that may happen, conditions, the environment, things that may happen that may lead to tension and basically allows or forces, to rethink how we do things. Think about teaching, how, we lecture was the way of doing things, and now people talk active learning. What does that mean? What is active learning? I wasn't trained to be a professor. How do I do this? So there is a lot of things that create tension, and how do we embrace it and make it to be productive? So this is the key to make that tension productive. And we have to think about that. We have to endure for long-term effort. So it's essential for transformation. So this is not something that is going to be accomplished overnight. It's going to take time accomplishing the goals. And that's the reason that during the visionary exercise, we engage into a sort of exercise to think about the timeline. Different strategies are going to emerge during your time of visioning. When are they going to be accomplished? Who is going to do it? And questions for our change efforts. What resources do we need, in this? How long will it take? And there is enough commitment into the process. And, what about culture and culture change? And how can we demonstrate progress? This is going to be important. Now, what are the metrics that we're going to use basically to know that what we are doing is actually working? So, remember, that the 6 elements, says 6 essential elements of change: communicate effective learning, develop a shared vision, cultivate shared leadership, understand diversity of view and also embrace them, stretch to embrace tension and experience discomfort, and endure for long-term effort. So what you're going to see is that there are going to be skills, that we are going to present to you: active learning, dialogue and negotiation, conflict, stress management, learning to be flexible, and staying open to new ideas. And what are the sort of the outcomes that are going to emerge from those skills? Collective ownership, collaboration, synergy, team learning, effective change, and inclusiveness in the process. So what I want you to do is to do a sort of a 1-minute paper and write down the most important ideas you derive from this module. And what is one aspect that was not clear that you want to know more about it? So I wish you the best in your journey, and have fun in the process.